Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining wherever you're joining from. Good to have you here. It looks like we got a full house in the chat today, which is always fun to see. Thanks for joining, everybody. If you do have a question, make sure you start your message with the letter Q. Otherwise, it's going to get lost in the chat as things get moving. Welcome. So, today I've got in front of me, I've got a couple things set up so we can play with these if you want. Otherwise, happy to just chat about whatever, but I've got the RØDECaster video here. Actually, it's about to tip over to the 24-hour mark of streaming. And I've got the YoloBox Ultra here. And these actually both are playing back this my pre-recorded podcast clips because I was testing out the video follows audio or audio auto switching feature in them. And yeah, playing around with that. So I have it all rigged up so I can actually pipe in the streams into the mainstream if you want to check it out. So happy to play with that. Otherwise, yeah, let me know what you want to chat about. It is also pumpkin season. So spooky season and pumpkin season. So there's a pumpkin in the background now until probably Thanksgiving. So why have I been streaming with the RØDECaster for 24 hours? So yesterday I was filming a video about comparing the auto switching features between the two. And in order to do that, what I did was streamed from this into the Magewell Pro Convert, which is in the rack back there. And then I can pipe it back onto the stream, which is this. This is the side-by-side. Oh, I lost the overlay from the YoloBox. The YoloBox is supposed to say that it's the YoloBox. There it is. This is the side-by-side of the two. Auto switching is not actually turned on right now, but the I did that yesterday at apparently around 9 a.m. And then I forgot to turn it off. So that's why it's been going this whole time. But hey, I got here and I was like, you know what? Actually, it's not a bad test. We can see how if it's still working. And it is. It's still streaming and it's just fine. So that's cool. What version of the Ultra? I did update last night. The 2.6.5 update came out. It was weird. It looked like it didn't update, and then I went to go update again, and then it said it was up to date. So I guess it was just really fast. So that's cool. Do I think the video files audio takes too much CPU for the YoloBox Pro? I really want that feature on the Pro. That's a good question. It's I don't know exactly. I don't know. I suspect not a lot of CPU because it's really just monitoring audio levels. Like we also got new audio meters in the Ultra. I don't know if this has come to the Pro yet, but this is a nicer display. So it's just monitoring the audio levels and then switching. So it's not like it's doing more video processing. So I suspect there's a chance it could come to the Pro. Oh, did your update do the same thing? That's really funny. Yeah, I don't know. I was really confused. I was like, it looked like it just glitched out, but then it was up to date. So that's good. Yeah, nice accidental test. Matt says probably yes, as the Pro is seriously underpowered. I don't know if I would call it seriously underpowered. It's definitely less powerful than the Ultra, but it's the same. Oh wait, is it the Ultra and the Mini that have the same CPU? Now I forget. I've forgotten all the details of the lineup. Somewhere they have a comparison showing the CPUs in all of them. On the Ultra, it is. Huh. Well, I'm gonna have to find this. YoloBox. They use Qualcomm, and somewhere they had a page showing all of the Qualcomm processors that they use in them. Now I can't find it. Well, if somebody knows where that link is, drop it in the chat or Discord. Matt's beta testing 2.7.0 this week. Oh, cool. I'm curious what's coming to that. Emerald knows. Pro and Mini have the same CPU. The OG one was super slow. Okay, that's right. Pro and Mini got the same processor. Ultra is an update from both of those. Oh, and Frank is here. Ultra is the most powerful. Pro and Mini uses the same CPU. Thank you for answering. So this is a good question. How do you feel about there being no default wide shot and you have to assign an input to the RØDECaster video? So yeah, in the RØDECaster video, I have you know what I need is another shot, another angle here. Oh great, we're getting the specs dropped right into this stream from the source. Snapdragon 865 Mini and Pro or 660. Okay, cool. What I really need is another layout here so I can show you the do I have it? I do have it there. So this is the multi-view of the RØDECaster video. So you can see in my sample, my video podcast, pre-recorded video podcast, I've got the 3 shots, 2 close-ups, and the wide shot. So if you go over to Rode Central, which is where you configure this, auto switching for wide, there's no like setting for when there's no audio. You have to assign an audio link to it. So I assign both microphones to this, and that'll make it cut to the wide shot when both people are talking. And the one thing that's missing from here that the YoloBox does have is that the YoloBox explicitly has a setting which is for when there are for when nobody is talking. You can tell it what to do, which I should be able to. Now I have to make the other. Yeah, I need to make the other button. Sorry, this is. Oh, hey, I saw a question while I have this open from Bert. Tangent here. I have an ATEM Mini Pro. Can I change the size of the picture in picture? Yeah, so I have the ATEM Mini Pro up on my screen right now because I was using that. This is actually what's streaming to YouTube right now is the ATEM. It's actually the SDI, so it's the 4-input SDI version, but same internals. So in the upstream key over here, if you use the DVE upstream key, let me see, I can actually put this on the stream. So it's up there. And you have these little position and size adjustments. You can zoom into that here. So you can change both the size and move it around wherever you want. So you're not limited to just the presets that it comes with. If you push the buttons on it, like the physical buttons, then it would, those are like presets for both position and size, but you can change that if you go into the software control. One of the many, many things you can do in the software control in the ATEM. Now let me go over to the big one because I needed to, oh, actually I need to do this in companion. We're doing this live. I have some companion buttons and I wanted to make that one have the other input. I have both the YoloBox and the RØDECaster video connected in. So now I should be able to do this. Yes. And now you can see the YoloBox multi-view. So what I was saying, back to the original topic, was there is in the video follows audio settings. When you go to configure the audio sources, you tell it, where's your audio coming in, and then you tell it what to do with that audio. So, and now see how I chose 2 audio sources and it's giving me 4 options. So when there's audio on that input, do that. When there's audio there, do that. When there's audio on both, do what you do. Well, go to the wide shot. And when there's no audio, I also want to go to the wide shot. So this is smart. This is good. They need to add the silent option to the RØDECaster video because I did notice that when it's silent, the RØDECaster stops. It just doesn't do anything. It like stays. So, so now that's on, we can, oh, I need to adjust the threshold down because my audio is really quiet for some reason. Then we can start auto switching. And we should see it start to change angles. Do I think Rode will implement it? Yeah, probably. They're clearly working on stuff pretty consistently. So yeah, I suspect they will. I suspect they'll add it. Okay, where was I? Let me go scroll through the chat again. Make sure you start your message with Q if you want me to, if you want to put it into my list here. Well, VFA, please come to the YoloBox Pro, please, please, please. Did Frank cannot guarantee or confirm anything yet. Happy to push everything, but often it's our tech team's final decision, and they evaluate a lot of things. Fair enough. Okay. How do the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 and 660 compare to the Mage Director Mini? Good question. I'm pretty sure they actually published which Qualcomm they use on the Mage Director Mini. They also use the same family of processors somewhere in here. Not on the main page. Let's see if it's in the specs page. I know I've seen it listed somewhere before. It's not there. Is it here? No. Interesting. I swear I've seen this listed before. Huh. It's not on their specs page. I wonder how we can find out. I know I've seen it before. Maybe the OBSBot version has it. OBSBot talent. Let's see if, because this is oh my gosh. Same thing. No, they don't list it either. Interesting. I'm gonna have to find that because I know I've seen it before. That's so weird. I don't remember which Qualcomm it is, but I know it's a Qualcomm. Bailey says, with the picture-in-picture, the size, the adjustment can't be saved within the 4 presets, even if you press those to start with. Yeah, it's true. It's weird. It seems like it wouldn't have been that complicated of a thing to do to make the buttons on the ATEM, like, where you can kind of save presets. Like, if you push it and then make a change, and maybe you could, like, hold it down to save the current layout as a preset in that button. But, yeah. Oh, well. Frank says it's at 845. Where are you finding that? Okay, let me scroll back up. Oh, yeah. From before the stream, Mark says, didn't Roland introduce video follows audio in their switchers about 5 years ago with the VR1 HD and V1 HD? I know the VR1 HD did have it. Does have it, I guess I should say. It is a current model. V1 HD Plus. That one I didn't know. I didn't know that one had it. Let's take a look. The VR1 HD. I remember when this came out, it was really interesting. It was like $1,500, and that was just a little bit too much for me because I was looking for something that was ATEM Mini priced, and that was before the ATEM Mini came out. But the it's also a really interesting box. So it's got like one XLR line in and out. It has 3 video inputs. One of them is a pass-through, which is smart, but there's no aux, so it's really just for, like, you can feed a projector, but then you can't change what's on the projector, I guess. But then it's also got the main HDMI out and a multi-view out. So really interesting device, and I do remember it has the auto switching feature, to follow audio from different microphones. But I've never played with it. I remember I was looking for, this was a long time ago. I was trying to put together a kit for filming conferences. And can I find that? I don't think I can. I don't know if I can find that post. It was a long time ago. But yeah, it was up there in my list of candidates. Just didn't quite make sense. I found it. This is fun. This is from 2019. This is a long time ago. This was because I had been doing this meetup recording Donut.js. This is what I want, this magic box, and we're getting so close to having it now. But I want to feed a video camera, the presenter's laptop. I want to feed the projector. In this version, I was taking output from the PA system, and in the latest version that I diagrammed, I want to actually feed the PA. But what I did was I made a list of requirements, and then I started experimenting with it. And I tried the Epiphan Webcaster X2, which does do the side-by-side, and it was so close to being a good device for this, but only has one HDMI input, so you have to use a USB webcam as a second, which is not great, but it's maybe acceptable. But the deal breaker was it doesn't have any recording features. So only streaming, which is not great. And it didn't output any audio. That's discontinued now. It had such potential, and then they just dropped the entire line. So yeah, too bad. I DIY'd it using an Atomos Ninja recorder and a multi-view scaler box inside, and a splitter and another converter. But hey, it worked well. Camera, laptop, projector, and then a recorder in that box, and it works. And then came the VR1 HD. Oh yeah, total cost of this was like $1,200 once you add everything up. This is so close, but the picture-in-picture is limited to full screen and small, not side-by-side. And again, no recording capability, so you have to add a recorder. And it was $1,500 at the time. It's dropped now. So, and then TriCaster, of course, but that's really expensive. And then the ATEM TV Studio, which is the old one from 2019, which means you have to add scalers and recorders. And this is all before the ATEM Mini came out, and the ATEM Mini came out, and it was like, well, once the Extreme came out, it made a lot of sense for this kind of thing. Sling Studio is a pretty good kit. Pearl Mini was before the Pearl Nano came out. The Nano can do a lot of this now, which is cool. Still kind of expensive. So anyway, I've been thinking about this stuff for a while. But yeah, the VR1 HD does have the auto switching. Just didn't quite ever make sense for me to buy it, to try it. $1,220, $18, yeah. Okay, let me take a look at the chat. We're getting behind. Make sure you put a Q in front of your question if you want it to go in my questions column. Otherwise, it's going to get lost in the chat. Frank wants to do a user survey. What attracts you more from the YoloBox Extreme for those who are a YoloBox user or for those who are not? Wait, are you asking about what? Oh, yeah, the YoloBox Extreme, the 8-input version. Okay, let me take a look at some other questions here. Does the RØDECaster video have stingers? It does not, but I feel like that's something that's like very close for them to be able to add, because it does have the ability to play back media clips. So you can load in short clips and play those back, and then you can play those video clips out. So I feel like it's just a short hop to connect that to make it used as a stinger. I would not be surprised if we get that in a firmware update once they figure out how they want to make it work. Can I provide a list of all webcams compatible with the RØDECaster video? All webcams, I don't know. So the trick is that it needs the like raw output format, not the MJPEG or the H264, and the it turns out a lot of webcams don't support that. So yeah, there is not. I actually haven't. The ones that I randomly have around here have not had much luck with. So because they don't output the right format. Like this little one from HubSpot, the new Meet 2, unfortunately does not work. So yeah, interesting. I'll try to find some that do and put them in a list somewhere, but I don't know if I'll be able to give you all of them. Variation does have a stinger button. No, does not have a stinger button. The way I would expect that to work is like, so this is where you load in media, and you can load still graphics or animations. Oh, hey, just crossed 24-hour mark on the stream, and it's still going. Great. So if you loaded an animation in here, then I guess what I would expect is like in this transition menu, right now it has just fade, dip, and wipe. I would expect to have another one there, which is like link it to a media, right? Link the transition to a media source. And then when you run the auto transition, it would just go. So now it's doing a dip. Yeah. I feel like all the pieces are right there, so it doesn't seem like a huge stretch to me. I hope someone will be able to create a companion module for the RØDECaster video. Me too. Me too. I did hear some news about somebody who did a little bit of digging into the network traffic between the computer and the RØDECaster, and there is some good news there. So I suspect we will see something. Can you use a scene as a source to switch to for either RØDECaster video or YoloBox, or is it only the camera sources? Oh, great question. Yeah. So let's say I have a, let's go to the RØDECaster first. So let's say I need to make a scene. So let me make a scene that's like, let's go here. Let's go to, multi-source. Oops. What? No. There we go. I don't know why that didn't look. Let's do a. Let's say I don't have a wide shot, and I actually only had 2 cameras. So I'll make a side-by-side. This will actually be useful for remote guests too. So I'll make a side-by-side shot of Lily and, oh geez, I keep doing that. Lily, okay. Why can't I? Oh, I just have to, right. I keep wanting to push the button, but no, when it's highlighted, then you just press the button. There we go. So I've got the 2 shots, 2 close-up shots now in a scene. So it looks like this. Now I'll save that as scene A. Okay, so I got the 2 close-ups there. So here, when I go to the auto switching menu in here, let me turn off the wide shot because I don't have that. Here, scene A, I can turn this on and I can add audio links to both audio channels as well. My audio right now is coming in over HDMI, so I will add the 2 HDMI audio sources. And yeah, this one supports the scene as one of the video sources to switch to. So if we go back here and turn on auto switching, then we should see it start making some decisions about camera angles. There we go. So if we both start talking, it'll cut to the, yeah, there it goes, cuts to the scene. Let's try this in the YoloBox now. So I'll turn that off so I can configure it. So if I go back here, I need to make a scene first. add a video source. I will add we'll do the same thing. We'll do side by side with the two sources. And then since it's got built-in backgrounds, we can do that just for fun. And cool, okay. So now the side-by-side scene is there. Choose audio sources. Let's try that. Reset and switching action. So HDMI 1, yeah. HDMI 2, yeah. And then 1 and 2, I do have the side-by-side scene available now. So yeah, they both support it. So I can choose the side-by-side scene as the angle to switch to when both have audio or it's silent. And then we can turn that on and it'll start going again. Great question. The RØDECaster menu seems so fiddly. It seems very tedious. It's true. The little screen is kind of hard to use sometimes. It's often the case that it's a lot faster to go into the thing here, the Rode Central software, and then do it all this way. So, like, even with the scene builder, why is this taking so long? Uh-oh. Oh, there it goes. Weird. I don't know why it took so long. So now in here, it's a lot faster to create stuff. Like create the layouts. You can quickly scroll through the different layout options. It's just a lot faster. You do have to use this to load graphics. There's no way to get graphics otherwise. How is the heat with the streaming for 24 hours? Good question. It's actually not very hot at all. Like, it's warm, but it's certainly not burning my hand, and I wouldn't even describe it as necessarily a lot warmer than it was 30 minutes after it started. So that's good. This one's also been streaming for 24 hours. I just happened to stop it because I had to go back to the menu. And it's not warm at all. This is very cool. Am I using the media player and splitters that I talked about a few weeks ago to do the replay of the podcast? So I was doing that for, you can see it over here. This is the media player back here, and it is going into the video wall controller. However, I tried to connect it, because I have two devices here that need the copy of the video. I tried to go from the video wall controller through these little splitters, these little cheap ones, into each of so for each camera angle split into these. Apparently, these little splitters cannot handle this video signal for some reason. I don't know what it is about it, but as soon as like it'll have a picture. When it's paused, the picture comes through, and as soon as I hit play, the signal coming out of these gets all it just like lags and then freezes and stops. So it's like it can't handle the bandwidth of the HDMI going through it. So I had to change my plan to actually create. Oh yeah, the other problem was the audio, because the way I was doing it for the RØDECaster is I had the analog audio from the HDMI player broken out into 1/4-inch jacks. So I had right and left, the right and left channels were each of our microphones. And then going into here, but then I would need to split this into the YoloBox, but the YoloBox only has an 1/8-inch input. And then it also doesn't have a way to use each channel as its own microphone feed. So it wasn't going to work. And I was like, okay, fine. Between both of those problems, I have to redo this. And what I did was I ended up creating going back into Resolve, grabbing the ISO files, creating separate video files for each of the camera angles. So the 3 camera angles here. But then the audio on this one, my close-up angle, is just my microphone. And then the audio for this one is just Lily's microphone. And then the Y one has our combined audio, but which I'm not actually using for this. And then it's on this network drive. This is on the Cloud Pod. And I pulled up the Cloud Pod in 3 hyperdecks. These are playing back the files from the network. So each of these has an output. So this one's playing back just Lily's close-up. That one's playing back just me with my audio. The HDMI from these is going into the YoloBox. The SDI from these is going into my video switcher, the ATEM, which has the new feature of audio routing, thankfully, which is that, I can assign different audio mixes out each SDI port now. So finally, there's no UI for it, but there is, you can do it with the XML editing. So I can now take this HyperDeck's video and audio and output over a single SDI port, which is then broken out into my little patch panel here going into the RØDECaster video. So that's a lot of, this is why I didn't actually start filming this video till like 9 yesterday morning because I spent 2 hours setting this all up. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Matt says, I've heard the RØDECaster video with Rode Central is hard on the Mac. One guy said he had to get off his Mac Air and go to a MacBook Pro. I haven't noticed any problems other than what you just saw, which is it was lagging when it was pulling up the RØDECaster scene editor, but that's the first time I've ever had that happen. Normally it's been super fast. This one's an M2 Mac Mini. Not a very beefy machine. I guess I do have 24 gigs of RAM, but it's the M2 Mac Mini, not Pro, not Studio or anything. And I've also used it fine on my M2 MacBook Air, which I think has 16 gigs of RAM. That was what I used at the conference last week, and it was fine. I have not had any complaints. Do you know why the previews for each input skip frames until it's engaged? I suspect they did that just to save CPU power. So if you look at the multi-view here, the 4 cameras, inputs 1, 2, 3, and 4, you can see it's like low frame rate. It's not. Let's see. Is it? Yeah, it's low frame rate down in the little thumbnails. I would say maybe 15 frames a second or so. It looks choppy, but it's not super slow. But then the scenes are super low. The scenes are like 2 frames a second or something, right? But I think it's just because it saves CPU power. The YoloBox does it too, actually. If you look at the YoloBox multi-view, it's the same thing. The little previews update much slower than the actual video, which I guess is fine. It was a little like weird at first, but then I don't know, you just kind of get used to it. That got way more technical. Yes, it did. Well, that's because turns out testing all these things is really complicated and requires a lot of wires. Frank says, you told me that you think the RØDECaster video is simpler. Can you elaborate? I still feel like YoloBox Ultra is simpler as you don't need a computer and it's intuitive from the interface. Okay, I will show you what I mean. So if you look at the YoloBox video follows audio feature, if I go back into config, for this, first of all, I don't totally know what these settings do. So, and I have to either leave them as defaults or choose, right? So I don't totally know what they do. For the audio sources, it works backwards from the RØDECaster, but I guess it's fine. You choose where you have audio coming in, and then you choose what you want to do with them. It's not too bad, but the options definitely up here. It's good that there's flexibility, but I don't really know what switch sensitivity means or what the numbers correspond to. So I don't really know what to do with it, right? And then if you look at Rode Central, auto switching here, I like this arrangement better where you say, I want this camera to be auto switched. And then you tell it where audio for that camera comes from. And then rather than numbers that don't really correspond to any scale, I just get priority settings. So it's really like, obviously I don't get control over what it's doing, but I can say, okay, I want high priority on the guest, and the host can go low priority, and then the wide shot is low priority, right? And like I can kind of guess what this is going to do. And then there's no other options, which is, both good and bad. So that's what I mean by it's easier. Like this just seemed simpler to explain to somebody versus on the YoloBox, it's just like, it takes a little bit longer to explain how this menu works, I feel like. Switch sensitivity is like switch delay, but more sophisticated. Yeah, that doesn't help. Thanks for the link, Bailey. Make sure to check out my dedicated video on the RØDECaster auto switching. You could set up to record and stream a small conference or test something complicated for YouTube video. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, last Saturday I was spending the morning setting up all this gear for the conference. I like the control aspects of the YoloBox better. Yeah, it's definitely like either is it simpler menus or is it more control? So it can go either way for sure. Okay, there's a whole discussion about the YoloBox Extreme happening here. Let me see if I can find the... What's the most attractive about the YoloBox Extreme? If a customer wants to record 4K, but stream HD, a smallest setting would be a good fit. Yeah. One feature that would make YoloBox more appealing would be both SDI and HDMI ports. I agree with that. If the total's 8, how many HDMI SDI do you want? 50-50. Have to total it, but I realize I have to make compromises. Would also be great to have SDI and HDMI out, but less useful than in. Yeah, I think SDI is... SDI is really important. And I feel like once you're going up to 8 inputs, the uses in a small setting, like no one's going to use it in a small setting, right? The YoloBox Ultra has 4, and this makes sense for like a small video podcast, right? Like I have 3 cameras and a computer screen. That is something I would set up in a room, right? But I'm not going to have 8 camera angles in most podcast studios. So yeah, what are the uses for the 8 input YoloBox Extreme? Well, probably larger events, and at that point I need more things. I need SDI inputs, I need a separate aux output, and that's where, if the RØDECaster video added aux out, it would be so good for that kind of thing. But yeah, that's where it's like SDI in for your long camera runs, 8 inputs, 2 outputs on the Extreme is appealing. Are the HDMI outputs I feel like most switchers end up doing just like multi-view or program out, but I want an HDMI output to be able to be assigned to one of the inputs. It's like how Roland has some of the pass-through ports, because I want to feed a projector from this box, right? And that's the kind of stuff that you can do once you start getting a bigger kit built up. What more additions can be added to the YoloBox Ultra's video follows audio? Let's see. What else could we add here? The silent is good. Priority is missing from this. So if I wanted to say you should spend longer on camera angle 1. See, this is what I mean by it's backwards. It's audio priority rather than like talking about the video sources. But let's say I want to spend more time on HDMI 1 because they're a guest. I want to just stick longer on that angle, or if there was ever ambiguity about what decision to make, like prioritize that in those kind of situations. So that would be one thing to add. The other thing would be making it so that I don't have to set the threshold, because that's one of those things where, sure, it's giving me control, but also like I don't necessarily know what the right number is to put there. What I had to do was go here and just watch my audio levels and see where they get to when someone's talking. But it should really be able to figure that out, right? Like it knows at any given point which one of these is louder and if there's a good signal on there. So it should be able to figure that out. So I think you should get rid of that setting and make it just do the right thing. Yeah, YoloBox can totally add an update for this. Gwen uses SDI for small events, 4 cameras for a lot of long runs. Yeah, I decided at that last event last weekend to use my fiber HDMI cables because I have 3 of them. One of them I bought, and then 2 were sent to me by the company, and they're like 50 to 60 feet, and they're surprisingly good. I was pretty happy with them. It's like less converters. I don't have to power a converter at both ends. I was going into HDMI device anyway, so just made it easier. But I would recommend fiber HDMI for a lot of small events like that. If you're doing like 50-foot, 60-foot runs. But yes, SDI is definitely better. Locking connectors, slightly less latency. Yeah. Fiber HDMI is also finicky. One twist and you can be done. Yes, that is true. If someone steps on the cable, for example. So not the best for large productions, but I think it's pretty good for small, quick runs. Matt says, I find the RØDECaster video too simple to use and geared towards amateurs. Being a geek, I want all the controls I can get. It's definitely like all these things are definitely made for different people, and like some people would prefer to not have all the options, and some people would rather have all the controls. So it's good that there's options. Fiber HDMI is much thinner than HDMI and easier to handle, so nice when flying for gigs. Oh yeah, that's a good point too. That's a good point. Yeah, it was kind of surreal how how lightweight 65 feet of cable is when it's fiber HDMI. Thinner than SDI. Yeah, I have a slim SDI cables, but they're not super long because then you lose the shielding when they're that thin. Bailey says, I've also used HD-based-T, which is HDMI over Cat5, which is good in a building that already has loads of network, just not much HDMI or SDI. So I actually, this was now, almost 10 years ago. For a while, I was trying this for the long runs in conference venues, and I would get like a, 50 or 100 foot Ethernet cable, and then get these little converters on both ends, and they were really flaky. Again, it's like 10-year-old technology, so it's probably gotten a lot better at this point, but I ended up ditching that and switched over to, that's when I started getting all the SDI converters, and yeah. What uses can you see for video follows audio outside of podcasts and visual radio? I mean, I feel like that's what it is. If you have a remote guest, also it's great for that. I don't know if you would necessarily call it a podcast. I did not have enough time to prep this week to get a guest on today. I was hoping to have Tom join me, but at some point I'm going to need to do that. But I just had too much stuff going on this week. So, but yeah, remote guest, live stream, right? Like then you can just have it auto cut, which would be cool. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a demo of that at some point. In the meantime, I've been playing around with it just from these test recordings. Yeah, this is a great point from Emmanuel. For me, it's the lack of aux outs that keeps me away from those little mixers, which is why I use the ATEM SDI Extreme with 4 aux. 100% agreed. The aux outputs are so useful, and I think we really need more video switchers that understand this and support it. And it's like, I guess the YoloBox Extreme could add this, possibly. Depends on how the HDMI ports are wired to it. But yeah, basically I want to say send input 3 out this port and then switch input to input 4 out that HDMI port, while not affecting the program. It's super important. IT never gets old. Says I agree. Agreed. I have lots of issues with HDMI to Cat5e converters. I hope they've gotten better. Another vote for against HDMI over Cat. Well, I have my house wired for video distribution over Cat5, so I hope I can come up with a solution that works for it, because I did not run fiber to all the TV places. Have I ever used HDMI over IP? No, I didn't know that was even a thing. Is that a thing? Like, actually over an IP network, not just Cat5 cables? You need to buy high quality converters for HDMI over Cat5. Don't get the no name brands from Amazon. That's definitely what I did. So, yeah. Oh, I missed this one from Matt earlier. I got called in last night to an event bigger than your event. 4ME driving the event. Epiphan Nano handling the stream from the ATEM. Go stream behind the scenes. Cool. Yeah, it's a good combo. It sounds like fun. If you're using HD-based T gear, you should be fine. It's usually just the cheaper dummy converters that are problematic. I think NDI is the solution for video over IP. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Speaking of, I was trying to work on some notes for my little, what was it called? Projector switch? Yeah. I was trying to come up with notes to start sending people for this device that I want to exist that nobody seems to have exactly the right box. So this webpage needs work still, so don't judge me. But I did work on this diagram this morning. So this is the 2 input switcher, 2 HDMI ins. I decided 3 HDMI outs, because a pass-through out means you can feed a confidence monitor with it. So think of this as just a projector controller, basically, for a small live stream encoder that does not have a bunch of aux outs. So, like, if I was using a Constellation 2ME, then none of this is necessary because I can do everything with a 2ME. But if I've scaled down and I've got a RØDECaster video or a YoloBox or just even just a single camera with a encoder or something, like, I need to feed the projector something too. So this is mainly just for the projector. So I have this output to feed the projector, which can be switched between either this input or the still image, and the which is really just actually this switch. This switch can switch between being fed by HDMI input or a still image, which you can grab from this. So imagine the person comes in with their presentation, sits on the podium, plugs it in. It's their title screen. You press the capture button and it grabs that, puts it in the still image store. And then you can freeze frame that on the projector while they do set up their computer with other stuff. Or you could like plug in your own computer there and put like the conference logo in there and grab that still frame. So having a still image store that you can capture from one of the HDMI inputs is super cool. Or you feed your like an iPad or your own laptop into this box, and then you can change what's on the projector between the still image or the laptop or the presenter's laptop. Meanwhile, you want the switcher output to either be the presenter's laptop or whatever's on the projector. And then you have a pass-through, which can go feed a conference monitor. This would be super, super cool. This is, again, like if you have an ATEM Constellation or the ATEM SDI Extreme, you can do this with the aux outs. Although I also want this switch number 2 to be to have an auto mode where if it detects signal here, it switches into input 1, and if it doesn't detect signal, it'll switch back to this. So that would be cool, and that doesn't exist. But this would be such a good little tiny box, and I feel like it could be done for like maybe $150 because it's not a full switcher. So there's lots of ways to get close to this, but I don't want to buy a full switcher. One of the other things about this is that anytime that you're setting up an event for that somebody else is going to run, like just reduce the options. I don't want to have to explain to someone, don't push that button, don't push that button. Like reduce the options. I want it to just work. I've used a Roland VO2 HD for this kind of setup. It doesn't fit all your requirements. Yeah, and you can also do it with the GoStream. You can get close with the GoStream. And that's actually how I was using it last weekend, I was using the GoStream as a projector controller. But again, it's like, that does more things than I need. So, yeah. I always need an additional monitor wedge for the speaker. So, that was what the reason that I had added the pass-through. My thought was, if in a relatively small venue, chances are the person presenting either doesn't need a conference monitor, or they probably just want it to be whatever is their computer, because they're going to plug in their computer and they want to see feedback immediately. They want to know that their computer is working and they want to see their second screen. However, so again, if you're using an ATEM Constellation, you can do all this. You can feed a conference monitor with whatever you want then. But for the simpler version, I actually would rather that this is just a pass-through. Like it just is a one-to-one copy of whatever is plugged into that from the presenter's laptop. I don't necessarily need to feed it. And if I need to feed it something different than that, then I probably should just go use a bigger switcher. Frank says, almost 1 a.m. Have to go now. Have a good rest of the stream. Well, thanks for joining, Frank. Thanks for answering the questions. Agree about reducing options for volunteers. We try to make things as simple as possible in that scenario to minimize the chance of them getting confused and making mistakes. Exactly. Have you had fun with the new ATEM audio routing so far? Yeah, I actually used it for reals yesterday when I was doing this, because now I can actually run videos off of the HyperDecks into the ATEM and then split the audio individually out. It's so nice. It's so good. And this little tool that does the audio mapping is super useful. I can see why Blackmagic doesn't want to put this into the ATEM software, because it's really a lot. There's a lot going on. So here, aux 7, I think that was one of my aux outs. No, that one's such a program. Which one was it? Aux 8. Yeah, aux 8 gets audio from input 29, which is one of the HyperDecks. I actually wish that the ATEM had a mode where it's like follow the input. Like, I don't want to assign this. I want to say whatever video you're sending out the aux 8, I want you to send that source's audio also. I want that to be like an option. Like how it has no audio, I want like follow. But oh my gosh, there's so much audio routing in here. So I'm just using it for the most basic thing, but it is cool. Sergio says, since we're on the topic, what are we thinking about 2110? Just for set studios and too complicated for events? Oh, that's an interesting question. Yeah, too complicated for... Would I set up a 2110 network at an event, a temporary event? I think possibly yes, if the Blackmagic what is it called? Presentation. Oh my God. I forgot which one it is. I think it's in the converter page. I think it's one of these. It's the presentation converter. That's the one. This thing is actually very close to this little box I just described. This is meant to go like up at a podium where you can plug in a computer over USB, for example, or HDMI. You get an SDI and HDMI out, so you can feed a conference monitor from this. You get audio in and out, and this is all connected to your main switcher over 2110. So that lets you do the video routing out this, like from your central controller. And I think this is, meant for that kind of thing. Like this, I could see spinning up a 2110 network at a venue at a temporary event. Yeah, I could see doing that. You can do all this and more on a 2ME, but not in the same price. Oh yeah, the Constellation 2ME for sure. That's what I mean. It's like if I had one, that wasn't my 4ME is in the rack, and there's no way I'm taking it out anymore. It lives there now. It's too many wires. But Constellation 2ME would make a great conference like portable kit. It's kind of expensive, and it's also like all SDI, so you have to deal with conversions. And I just think there's an opportunity for smaller gear that's simpler. But it's definitely an option. Do I think Blackmagic will implement the audio routing features into the ATEM Mini lines? I suspect not. It's in the Constellation lines, which are newer than the Mini. I have a feeling that it's probably not possible to do in the Minis from a hardware perspective, but it would be cool. Although I feel like it wouldn't be. The only thing I really want from the Minis anyway is the mix minus option, which also isn't actually an option in the Constellations anyway. Or I guess, no, yeah, because you can't combine. It's just single sources. So, do I have the 2110 boxes? Yeah, so Doug bought them to do a video about them. I don't know if he's actually published that video yet, but then I bought them from him. And I do have them here, but I haven't, I've only got two things actually in the rack right now. One is, this one is one of the 3x3 converters, and there's the DeckLink card in that box in the rack also. But then I have two more of these, which are not installed anywhere because they're going to go into the house. One will go into Lily's studio, one will go into, I don't know what yet. We'll figure it out. But that's when I'm really going to put it to the test is and figure out my network routing for that to make it work too. But that'll be the real test, is being able to send video between the two buildings. Michael says, I've totally forgotten about the presentation converter. I could really use one of those next month for a conference. I think they are shipping now. I can't remember if I've seen people talk about getting them now. The web tool for audio routing is a bit like the Dante controller. It's great that he built that. Serious addition to the Constellation audio routing feature. I agree. Micah says, is a 2ME sufficient for a 16 input that controls broadcast and screen, but also two stage displays? Are auxes for those sufficient? Probably, yes. I would say probably. So if you look at the Constellation 2ME, let's go to this one that has the ports on the back. Yeah, you have, what is that? 20 inputs and 12 outputs. So separate multi-views. So these are, what was your broadcast and screen and two stage displays. So yeah, you have plenty of outputs for that. One of these would be your program for your recording and streaming. So maybe those are two taken up for that, but then you've got, your, you can feed two displays from this, and then you can This is a 2 ME, which means you can actually use the second ME as the as one of the displays, like to actually do crossfades and stuff on the display, not just cutting. So your top ME would be like the main stream. Your second ME could be a projector feed, and then you can actually do mixes between video sources. And so it depends on what you're using the two-stage displays for, I guess. But yeah, I think this would work well. Coming soon on B&H, darn. Okay. I remember at the time it wasn't possible since we considered using the SDI Extreme as an ISO audio recorder, but the AUXes did not carry individual audio, but only program. So yeah, it's an update on the Constellations as of like not long ago. So you can now, yeah, I could do this with the Constellation now. If I have like remote guest coming in through, let's say it's a the deck link cards, right? So I've got deck links going into the switcher. It used to be the case that the audio just all gets smashed together and that's it, end of the story. But now I can actually feed that one of those deck link audio channels into one of the HyperDecks directly through SDI. So it's a lot more flexible now. Before, if you wanted to do like remote guest ISO recording, you have to like actually physically rewire things to send it out the right direction. But now I can do it all by creating audio mixes in the ATEM, which is super, super cool. I'm excited for it. IT Never Gets Old says, at some point, I think your viewers would enjoy looking at the Zoe box. I just got one. I'm really impressed by it. I agree. I was playing around with them for a little while ago, actually, on streams in my previous desk layout. So that was a long time ago, actually. But that was when I was first playing around with the idea of the video wall controller to take a 4K and split it into 4 HD sources. My original plan with that was not using it as a playback device for test clips, but for streaming for HD video streams. So if you take one of your take 4 cameras, put it into a 2x2 grid, stream that as 4K over the internet, and then split it back out at the other end. And I was using the Zoe boxes for that. But I should get them back out. They're in a box somewhere right now. Minus mix is one of those really messy things people don't think about when they're asking you to do events. Totally. Yeah. And that is actually one of the things that the RØDECaster video does super, super well. Is like mostly it just works and you don't have to think about it. And then you can go in and set up all the fancy audio routing, which is it's just really cool. It's audio mixer in here. You have all of these different audio mixes you can create. So if you want, you can choose. I got my computer plugged into USB 1 and I can choose mix minus or special individual custom mixes. You can choose what you want to monitor out. It's really good. It's really smart. Oh, Hassan became a channel member. Congratulations. Thank you. Make sure you click on the membership tab on YouTube and join the Discord. ATEM Mini Extreme SDI would also work for Conference Link because it has 4 SDI outs. Yeah, I don't have the ATEM Mini Extreme SDI, so that wasn't an option for last weekend, and I wasn't going to buy one just for that. But that would have been pretty high up in the list if I actually had it here in the studio. Because it is, considering what it can do, pretty small. And once I had the RØDECaster video and the Ghost Stream next to each other, it's like that's the size of the Extreme anyway, so... The presentation converter would be even more perfect if it had a USB port for a clicker. Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah. Cool. Wow, did I catch up with all the questions? Oh, here's one from Andrew from earlier. How snappy are the preset buttons for playing back a full screen video hit or lip? Do you think it could work well as a shotbox type device feeding into another switcher? Yeah. Yeah. I think it could. Let's see. I don't know if I have any videos. I don't have any videos loaded in. Let's see if I can do that really quick. I think I had some clips already stored on here. So I have, I guess I can get rid of that. So here's like my drone video. I'll put that into B. And then if we go to, let's see, let's do it like that. So the stream and HDMI out, I can set HDMI out to program. And then actually, let me do that. Let me go to, I think I can do it in here. Don't know which one's which. Wrong one. So the HDMI out that's feeding into the stream right now is program out. So now as I hit B, it's going to play the video and it's instant. Like, I don't know how I can show how instant it is, but you can see it on the multi-view here, or I can make this the program. So boom. Yeah. Oh, that's a copy of that. That's actually receiving the stream from this. But yeah, you could totally use this to play out videos if you wanted. It's kind of an expensive way to do that, but it does work. I have yet to find a hardware switcher that lets you use more than one NDI source at a time. I thought the YoloBox does. Doesn't the YoloBox? The GoStream, no. GoStream has only one aux source, so you can change which NDI source it's using, but it's really just one. It's just one source. The YoloBox, however, you can bring in multiple NDIs, so up to 3. I don't know if I actually have any right now on the network. Oh, I do have the Pro Convert. Let's see what's on that. Oh, it's the multi-view of the ATEM that's running the show. It's very recursive. But yeah, the Ultra can. And it's, I don't know if you want to consider this hardware or software, but it's right on the edge. Have I had the opportunity to try the Roland graphics presenter yet? Very curious how they enable the key fill over single HDMI. No, I haven't even heard of that. I need to get back into the Roland product line. I feel like I used to, because I had some of them for a long time, because they were the first ones to do like an ATEM mini sized box, really. No, oh, interesting. Yeah, no, I have not seen this. Major Director Mini also takes multiple NDI. Thanks. Yeah, okay. Right. Also, right on the edge of hardware and software, combining the two. Bailey has to head out too. Well, good to have you stop by. It is not a good time zone for you. I'm sorry. Revision on my question from earlier. When it comes to auto switching in the wide shot, what do you think may be more beneficial, adding the audio from the wide camera to make a default to that? I assume this is on the RØDECaster because the YoloBox kind of works the way you want it to. Using the audio from the wide camera, probably not. Probably I would not do that because it's going to be worse audio because like you're going to have 2 microphones next to the hosts, And then the camera microphone from the wide angle is going to be like weird, roomy, echoey audio. So I don't think it's going to be a good signal to use. But I would just assign both microphones to the wide shot, and it does a pretty good job. What if you used a Rode video mic? I don't think it's going to help. I don't think it's going to do any better than assigning the two audio channels. Because what I did was not that one. What I did was in the wide shot, you just tell it you have, the two good microphones assigned to the wide shot, and it does a pretty good job. Yeah. I just want a setting that says when there's no audio, use this shot. And that's what's missing from the RØDECaster. Gwen says, I picked the Roland V1 HD Plus over the ATEM Mini back in the day because of XLR. Boy, did I pick wrong, since the ATEM is still being updated while Roland feels like a footnote. Yeah, I had the original V1 HD, not the Plus. But yeah, it does feel like it's just there now. Apparently just having just a black box output NDI sources is hard. Yes, it should not be this complicated. I don't know why maybe it's because people don't mix NDI. Like once you're in NDI, you might as well do everything in NDI. I don't know. I think it would be useful. But I agree. It's weird that there's not more NDI to SDI boxes. So they do exist. They're just like, they're expensive. The Magewell Pro Convert, for example, which is one of the one that I have I have one of those in the rack. It's actually receiving the stream from the RØDECaster right now. So in the so in the menu for it, this is the web interface for the Pro Convert. It's discovered these sources on the network, these NDI sources on the network, and if I click that, it will, out the HDMI and SDI ports, it'll just have that NDI feed, and it's great. But it's like $500, and that means they're kind of expensive to add to get a bunch of them. Bird Dog has a converter. The Bird Dog Play was my hope was that was exactly this. It was $150, a reasonable price, and it really should have been perfect for that, but I have not had good luck with it. It's just like, it just seems like it's a little underpowered. Do capture cards output to UVC? Output to UVC. Not quite sure what you mean. ZoeBox does NDI encoding and decoding for $150. That is a good point. That is a good point. It's unfortunately just a clunky web interface, but yes, it does work. I should really put one of those in here somewhere, that's why I have it always available. For studio setup, I need a camera with zoom and focus control. Is it better to buy PTZ camcorder or Blackmagic Studio 6K with servo lens? Zoom and focus. I suspect, I have not seen a camcorder that has remote control. So I would probably go, the Blackmagic cameras are great. They're good quality. You can get good lenses. However, you're stuck controlling them through the ATEM. PTZ cameras are really expensive if you get ones that have good lenses. Otherwise, the picture is going to be disappointing. So it depends on what it's for, I think. Like HDMI in to USB out for video. HDMI in to USB out. I guess like, wait, I'm confused what you're trying to connect it to because that is what a capture card is. HDMI into USB out. Yeah. Agreed, the Bird Dog play is disappointing. I had one be very flaky at an event a few weeks ago. That's a bummer. Such a bummer. Oh, Gwen says XF605 camcorder has remote control. I remember camcorders had a physical remote, but I have never played with one that has network control. Have I used voice tracking, building a conferencing system with a RØDECaster video and looking at using video files audio for the voice tracking shot? What do you mean voice tracking? You mean just the auto switching feature? Yeah, it's working well. I should just leave this on actually here. And then yeah, now it's going. Okay, XF605 can even be controlled by companion. Okay, that's very cool. Matt says, if you're all ATEM, then Blackmagic is the way to go, but I like real PTZs, but they are not cheap. Yeah. I feel like if you're going to spend, unless you're willing to spend several $1,000s, you're going to get PTZ cameras that are not very good quality, unfortunately. Andrew says, are you interested in doing some more conference meetup streaming after your recent event or stick to studio stuff? I enjoy it. It's what I found was I was doing it in like 2015 to 2018 because my day job work was very long-term, slow moving things. It was like long cycles, development cycles of slow feedback loops. So the events were fun because it was like cram a bunch for an event, go into a this high pressure situation, and then when it's done, like end of story. Whereas like my day job work was very like think about things for a long time, make long-term plans, and then eventually 2 months later you get a thing to show for it, and then you start over again. So it was a nice contrast. And then my work changed to doing in-person events where I was the presenter. And then I didn't, well, one, I was traveling too much, but two, didn't have that gap anymore. So kind of switched to doing YouTube stuff instead. And things are kind of switching back again with my day job work now, where kind of getting back into that longer term, longer life cycles, feedback loops cycles. So I could stand to do some more in-person events. Yeah. Voice tracking utilizing Dante automatically zooms to the person speaking. Oh, zooming in. I mean, there's nothing like that on the RØDECaster video right now, but it's just cutting. So if you look at what it's doing right now, it is, I'm not touching this, and it's deciding what shots to cut to based on audio levels, right? So, and it can do it with more than two sources too, but there's no like zoom in. There's just these scenes that you can use. So I wonder if I could recreate this. Let's pretend I only had the wide shot. I have an idea. What if I only had the wide shot? So let's turn these off. And go into my scene builder. So if I only had this one camera, what could I do with scenes? Can I, let's see, let's get rid of, let's make it a custom layout. And let's get rid of these. What if I tried to just crop in on this? Can I scale this larger? That's the first question. No, I can't. But I can crop it. Can I crop it in so that it looks like a close-up shot of me? Yes. And then can I scale it back up? I can. Interesting. So I'm trying to use it to make like virtual camera angles, right? So let's do that. And then obviously it's less quality because it's scaling a tiny bit of the picture up to 1080. But hey, there's one. Then let's do the same thing here where I add in, the wide shot and then crop, that was scale, crop it on Lily. Okay. And then scale her camera up. Sorry for the screen moving around. Okay. Now I have my scenes. So if we look back at the RØDECaster video, why is it cropped weird in the preview? It's just the preview is cropped wrong. Oh, that's so weird. But it works. So now I have, let's actually get rid of these. Let's not get confused. So I don't have inputs 1 and 2 anymore. In this version, I only have a wide shot, one camera, and I've created 2 close-up shots from it. So now I can go back into the auto switching menu. And now I can assign the scenes audio channels. So scene 3 is the wide shot. So again, I'll put both audio channels on scene 3 wide. I'll set it to medium priority. Scene B is me, which is input 2. So I'll link it. I'll turn this on, put it high priority, and link it to channel 2. Scene C is the close-up of Lily. So I'll turn that to high and set that to HDMI 1. And now, if we go back to the RØDECaster and turn on auto switching, it should do what we want. Let's see if that is true. Let me go back to the beginning of it. Auto switching, come on. Scene B, HDMI. Oh, I lost my audio when I pulled out the video sources. So I have to plug these back in because that's where the audio is coming from. Imagine the close-up cameras didn't exist by having audio coming in through the microphone jacks or something. But yeah, now it's working. So now it's going to cut between the wide shot and then the 2 scenes rather than the actual close-up cameras. It's actually pretty good. Yeah, scene C, scene wide shot. Actually looks fine. It's obviously lower quality, so it probably would look worse on the recording. Actually, I can cut over to the main. I can show you the actual stream from this, which is this one. Yeah, now you can see it's much worse quality than the actual close-up camera. But hey, pretty good for in a pinch for one camera. One camera and yeah, totally would be great with the wireless Go sources. So the yeah, if you had 2 wireless Go's connected, then you would use those for the audio sources, and then it would just one camera, and now you got a little video podcast. Can you do the same virtual camera scenes with the YoloBox? Interesting question. Let's find out. I'm not actually sure. I don't remember how the scene setup works here. Let's go make a new. Actually, wait. No, yeah, I need, so HDMI 3, custom, add that. And then, can I crop it? Yes. Crop, and then scale. Great, look at that. There's a close-up. Custom, and then we do it again. Add that one. Crop. I like how it's keeping it in 16:9. Save. Scale it back up. Save that. Okay. Now, they're not named great, but let's do the same thing. Audio from Lily's microphone goes to the first custom. Audio from the second one goes to the second custom. HDMI 3 gets both of those. And then we start. And now this is the scaled up. And it's working. Cool. Is the input on the RØDECaster full HD or 4K? It is just HD. There's no, not even 4K input that it downscales. It's just HD. This is what Roland refers to as region of interest switching, which is kind of cool on their 4K switchers, but out of budget of most one-man bands. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I should show you the actual stream from the YoloBox now as well. This is the stream output from the YoloBox. Is it going to cut? Neither of us are talking. There we go. There's a cut. There's the close-up shot. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, you all caught that before I did. There's no HDMI audio when I unplugged the wires. Using the video feed from the PTZ camera that's tracking the speaker. RØDECaster video switches to that feed when the speaker is talking. The voice tracking cam follows the person. So the camera is actually moving around. And if that's got the audio from that person in it, do you have like a microphone connected to them? How does it know that it's... I guess what's the actual audio from that camera angle? Because it needs to have, basically you need an audio source in the RØDECaster for each person, or each person you want to switch to. So on the YoloBox Ultra, could you use a 4K source to get better virtual camera scenes? Good question. I guess so. Yeah. I don't have a good way to test that right now. I do have a 4K video source, which is the clip that's being played back from this little box, but that's a 4-up grid, so it's not really a good test, but we can do it. We can take out that one and plug in this one, and wait, that's not the right one. That was the output. That's the one. Yes. And now okay, yeah, so now I've got this is the actual video file that's being played back from the little HDMI player. Oh, auto switching is on. So these are this is a 4K video signal. So theoretically, if I crop in on that corner, it should work. It should be full HD at good quality. So let's grab that. Crop. Crop. There we go. Crop in on the corner. And then scale it back up. And this should actually still look like full HD. It does. That's actually pretty good. I can show you the actual video feed from that. That looks a lot better than the scaled up version of the wide camera. This is the scaled up wide camera, and this is the scaled up 4K. That's pretty good. That's a good call. Or do we create the wide angle as another virtual one for HD? Virtual. I'm not sure I follow. But yeah, if you had a 4K wide shot of both people, you could. It scales it already. Like if you look at the HDMI 4 is a 4K video, and it doesn't really like tell you that it is because it's already just downscaling it. But if this was the wide shot, you would just use it as is, and then you could pull close-ups of each person out of it. This is a confusing thing right now because it's a grid, but just imagine it was actually a 4K wide shot of that. That's pretty cool. Makes me think how the setting for output will work since the wide angle will be 4K. I mean, the stream's running at 1080, right? So I've got 1080 here. So everything is 1080. Like the stream that it's doing is 1080. It's just able to downscale to 4K on the way in. Andrew says, when using auto switching on the RØDECaster video in a 2-person interview, would you simply have each person on high priority and the wide with the 2 audio sources on the low priority? Yeah, exactly. That's basically what I've done here. If you ignore the scene version of it, but the yeah, 2. So if I put this back to, I would set guest 1 high priority close-up shot, guest 2 high priority close-up shot, and the wide shot medium or low with both audio channels, right? And it does a pretty good job. You're cropping unscaled 4K input. Apparently, yes, in the YoloBox, that's what it looks like. It's hard to confirm that it's actually unscaled here, but this one is the top right corner of this, and it's hard to be sure, but I feel like this does not look like. Oh wait, maybe I can test by. I know how I can test. Let's make sure. I have a little. Oh, what? Oh, geez. I know how I want to test it though. Okay, what I need to do is I have this splitter, which is also a scaler. So this HDMI splitter takes 4K in, which I can give it from this player. we can take a 4K signal in, and then we have two outputs from this. One output is, I'm going to get rid of all these. One output is unscaled, 4K. And the second output, if I can find a free HDMI cable, the second output is downscaled. So downscaled is going to go into input 1. So if you look at the YoloBox, I only have two things plugged in now. Let me get rid of some of these things because it's getting messy. Let's get rid of the NDI. Let's get rid of custom. Custom. Okay, I don't know why it's not seeing the downscaled version. Let's try this over here. It's not recognizing it for some reason. I might have to go. Oh, there it goes. Okay, great. So the reason I wanted to do this is because HDMI 4 is the 4K output. HDMI 3 is 1080 output. So now I can actually create a side-by-side comparison. So I can go create a custom layout from HDMI 3, and then I'll do the crop thing. So I'll crop in on me in that corner. It's really hard to get this exactly the right size. Close enough. And then scale this up. So HDMI, this was HDMI 3, right? So is that HDMI 3? How can I tell? I think that was 3. I can't tell anymore. Oh, I can force it. Okay, so HDMI 3. Great. That's that one. And I can't name it, can I? Darn. Really wish I could name it. So that's HDMI 3, and I'll do it again for HDMI 4, which is the 4K one. And I'll crop. And then we can do a real side-by-side test. Okay, crop that, scale that. The real test would be if I have my test clip in here. Matt says you can name it. This won't be a fair comparison since in both cases we're cropping a signal. What you really want to compare is an uncropped Full HD to a cropped 4K. Oh shoot, you're right. I don't want HDMI 3. I want the close-up angle in HD, which I do have, actually. I have that available. That one is coming out of this hyperdeck. So this one is that same video file. Oh geez, don't turn off. Thank you. It's not in sync, but it is the right video. So this is HD from a hyperdeck. Oh geez. Well, that's annoying. Okay, so that's, then you can see they're out of sync because they're just different. But this is the HD version. This is the cropped from 4K. So these should look the same. And if these look the same, I didn't do a perfect crop, so they're a little bit off. So if these look the same quality, then we know it's actually actually doing this. Right. So now what I can do is I can feed in the YoloBox stream full screen. This is the HD version. So this is HD clip being played back from the hyperdeck into the stream. And then this is the cropped 4K version, which looks about the same to me. I'll go back and forth really quick. Yeah, it would look... Oh, I should have left the other one in so we can compare what it looks like. That's what I wanted to do. I did mean to do that. I wanted to leave the... I do want to crop in on the... It's softer but hard to tell how much. Now, that's what I wanted to do. Because this, if I were to crop in on this, that's what I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to compare quality. I was on the right track. I wanted to see, this should look blurry. And the cropped version of this should look blurry, and that cropped version should not look blurry. That's what I was trying to show. Let me go back and do this again. Custom add source HDMI 2, that's the HD one. Crop in on me. The problem is I can't get a perfect crop, so it's like, it's not going to be perfect HD, but it's close. Okay, crop, scale, save. So I can rename them. Okay. This one is 4K. So let's do 4K crop. This one is 1080 crop. Okay, that's what I want. This is what I want, because what this means is if these look the same, then it's actually just upscaling then actually the 4K input is being downscaled first and then upscaled. And if these look different, then we know we have a good signal. So, oops, there we go. So this is the HD crop. This should look blurry. And if I switch over to the HyperDeck version, it should clear up and get a lot crisper. Yes. Okay, that's confirmed. So this is the blurry one. That's upscaled from HD, and this is the actual HD version. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this is the upscaled HD, which does look blurry, and I'm going to go to the upscaled 4K. Did this look any better? Here's the upscaled HD, and here's the upscaled 4K. Those actually look the same to me. What do you think? Let's go back to the beginning. This is the upscale HD. This is the upscaled 4K. This is the real HD. I think they do look the same to me. I'm here for the can of worms. It's late enough in the stream. We can go down a can of worms. Yes. So I think close enough for government work, as the saying goes. I think it is post-scaler. I think that it takes the 4K, downscales it, and then we upscale. So it didn't upscale the 4K. The better test would be to take my 4K test clip where I do get pixel perfect accuracy and do that, which I think I can do. I think if no idea what's on the SD card. I think if I pop that in, now that HyperDeck is actually playing back my 4K test clip. So I can plug in that HDMI. And now HDMI 1 here is a 4K test clip, downscaled. So if we look at the pixel grid, the question is the pixel grid, when it's scaled up, is it showing me pixels or not? And I can actually do a pretty good, I think I can do a pretty good test on this. Let's do a custom layout with that. And then I'm going to crop all the way in on this. And it's going to be an extreme crop on that. Because this should show us large pixels if it's doing a 4K scale. Preview. I'm not going to trust the preview. Okay. So the real test is this. Oh no. No, it's not. We should be seeing a grid in those two rectangles in the middle. How can I demonstrate what it should look like? Oh, I could take the 1080 version. Let's do it with 1080 version. Oops, that's the wrong SD card. What? Oh, it popped over to the network storage. Let's go over to storage and why are you not recognizing the SD card? 1080p 30. I was just playing that one a second ago. Weird. It's not recognizing the... Let's try it in the other slot. Okay, I don't know why it didn't work in the other slot. So, oops, storage, SD, and now we are playing back a 1080 version of the clip, and if I scale up the 1080, we should at least see pixels. So yeah, you see how the lines, I don't know why the left one's muddy. Oh, the left one is the 1 pixel by 1 pixel. But you see how the top two that we have horizontal and vertical lines, those are which, oh wait, no, I remember what it is. I need to look at this source material again. Hang on a second. We're going to go back to the source and look at stress test 1080p 30. Okay. Yes. So what why can't I zoom in on this? Well, how can I... This'll work. That's okay. This is from my computer screen. So this is the actual source clip opened in QuickTime on my computer, and I'm scaling it up from my computer. On the left, we have a row of 1 pixel lines horizontally, 1 pixel lines vertically, and then a grid of 1 pixels. On the right, it's the same thing, but 2 pixels wide. So if I play it, you'll see then it moves, and that's where things get really muddy because the compression starts kicking in. But when it's freeze framed, you can see the grid, right? So if I go back to the YoloBox stream, the left has the, here, I can actually pause it. The left, yeah, you can't even see the pixels anymore. So something about the YoloBox is actually munging the pixels vertically anyway, which is weird. But this is the HD clip scaled up, and I do see the lines on the top, the horizontal lines on the top, right? So now if I go back to the 4K version, so I'll pop that out, go to the 4K version. Is it going to switch back to the, no, I need to go tell it to switch back to the SD card, 4K 30. Now the 4K version is being played into the YoloBox. So the YoloBox, do we see horizontal lines? Not even a little bit. And weirdly, the bottom thing turned into a gradient, which I don't even understand how that works. That bottom part was supposed to be vertical lines and it's turned into a gradient. But no, it's complete mush. And the one on the right, which are 2 pixels wide in 4K, now look like it's 1 pixel wide. So no, I'm pretty convinced that it is not, that it's downscaling on the way in. I heard Aaron Snickers since I sent it also score. Wait, what? I didn't create a catastrophe this week? Wait, what did I snicker at? I think it's post-scalar, which is to be expected. I'm pretty convinced. I think that was a pretty thorough test. And Gwen says, I'm always impressed by your ability to test stuff on the fly. It must be confusing to think and test and deal with chat, which could be talking about anything. Yes, which is why I always say to put your questions in the queue column so that I can at least see if there's questions. We are beyond a can of worms, maybe a can of snakes. Absolutely. Yes, that was way down the rabbit hole. Well, thanks for playing along. We're not cropped perfectly, so some mudding needs to be expected. Yeah. But that was the reason that I went to that clip, because it was cropped down to 1/8 of the screen, or it was taking 1/8 of the screen, scaling it up, so there should have been way more information to work with. Last week I asked a question in overlay videos, and you had a hard time getting it working correctly. I don't even remember that. I don't even know what happens on this stream. Oh, the comment about not creating a catastrophe. Okay. How does it compare to the mini fan in normal operation? I definitely can't hear the RØDECaster fan, and it's been staying reasonably cool. There is a fan though. If you look at the bottom of it, there is where's my no, can't really see it. Darn. Yeah, there is a fan. I can see the fan slots for it there. But it's also got a Visa mount, which is really cool. But no, it doesn't really. It's quiet. I don't hear it at all. Only when it starts up does it make a lot of noise. Oh yeah, that's right. It does make a lot of noise when it boots. Just want to say thanks for the great in-depth info. It can be hard to get insight like this without just getting it hands-on. I've definitely done a lot of research through you. I'm glad to hear it. That's the whole point of this stream, is to go way hands-on and actually get a sense of what it's like to actually use these things. I feel like even in the videos I do about them, it's like it's hard to actually convey what it's like to use them because they're all edited. So like, I don't want to have you watch 15 minutes of me fiddling with cables and rewiring my desk, but we can do it live. We can do it live. Oh, Roddy asks, what microphone are you using and where is it positioned? I am using the Audio-Technica AT875R, which I should drop a link to that in the chat. If I can find my link for it. And it is, you can't see it. The whole point is that it's not in the shot, but it's, you can see my teleprompter. It's about 6 inches above the teleprompter, right next to me. So if I were to poke it, it's right there. So it's like, there's the top of the frame. It's like 2 inches above that and about 8 inches away from my face. Let Aaron try before you buy. There we go. Does the RØDECaster video retain the custom scenes after being shut off? Yes, everything resumes exactly as you left it when it turns off, which is great. Am I part of the Rode alpha beta testing? If so, I'm also part of the alpha. Is there a way to update my devices so I can be part of the Rode alpha testing that you know of? Wait, if so, I also am part of the alpha. So yeah, they've been sending me some beta features. There actually is a beta feature that I'm not supposed to talk about, which I'm sad. I wish they would let me talk about it. But it's a very good beta feature. I'm very excited for it. But they just send me like either new software or like firmware updates that I install on it. So yeah. What would you like to see in next gen AV control surfaces? That's a good question. I actually do feel like the RØDECaster video is a it's pushing the boundaries of what we had in existing switchers. What I really want to see from this is I would like to see a RØDECaster Duo like audio control surface for this. But generally, I think that there are generally I think that there's this, I feel like there's this market for these like small events, relatively small productions where it's like a meeting room, a conference room, maybe a small venue that there's almost the right device for, but it just takes a little bit too much. And it's either too complicated or it takes too many devices to put it together. And that was one thing I was really excited about. The event last week that I did, because that's like the exact scenario that I imagined that I think there's a lot of room for in the market. And there wasn't, I couldn't quite get the right, there wasn't the exact right piece of gear for that event. So that's what I think I would like to see, is like, I want to see stuff that's made for exactly that. And, which is also easy to use. And I realize it's very hard to do, but I think there's room for that kind of stuff in the market. I wish the YoloBox remembered stuff. I know this is like my one big ask for them is it's really annoying how every time you leave this screen, stuff gets reset. Like if I even though I've like paused it, right? If I go out, okay, so like look at my audio settings, right? My 45 dB, okay, I've got these, right? So now if I go out, because I need to, for example, change from Wi-Fi to Ethernet, because I have to go do it out there. If I come back in, then this is reset. It's totally reset. At least remember the scenes. They didn't used to remember the scenes, and that's progress. But really, like, I wish it just, and then also like it's completely pointless to me to create all these old events. Oh, now I really just ended it. And at least I can like duplicate it now to get sort of back to it, but I just wish this screen didn't exist. I don't care about this screen. I just want it to boot up into, I want to boot up into this and then just remember what it did. I wish Frank was still here to hear this. Yeah, not keeping state when navigating between boxes is not good. Yeah, maybe if everybody bothers Frank about that, maybe they'll eventually fix it. Beta NDA leak push. Not sure if those Audio-Technicas are sold anymore. Oh, really? I bought, oh, it was a while ago, wasn't it? I was gonna say, I feel like I just bought these, but it may have been a while ago. Let me see when I bought them. I bought, yeah, I bought the most recent one in August 2022 and June 2022. And before that, I bought one in probably 2016 or something. So, but that's the thing, is that like, there's no reason to discontinue, in my opinion. Don't worry, he heard it from me so much. Okay, good. Well, more people need to ask. I feel like, because I ask YoloBox, I ask Frank for stuff all the time, but then I feel like it's just me, and it's like they have to prioritize against everybody else who's using it, and people use it for very different things too. So, if I ask for something, it's one input, but if everybody asks for something and they're all using it in different ways and have the same request, that's a good sign that that is an actual problem. So. I just saw a video with Paul from PTZ Optics falling in love with the YoloBox Extreme and Ultra. Oh, really? That's interesting. Pretty happy with how they've managed to add features. Yeah, I mean, both YoloLive and Rode, I think, are going to be in a good position for that. YoloLive has already done a very good job of pushing updates. I'm pretty sure Rode will also. I know that they have a lot of stuff planned on the roadmap. The roadmap. Why has that not occurred to me before? And I know they have stuff on the roadmap because there's things in their PDF that they shared in January that are not in this device. So, yeah. Okay. We've been going for 2 hours. I should probably wrap this up. This has been a long stream. Hopefully this has been fun, playing with these things and really messing up the situation here that I had all very carefully laid out, but it's fine. I already filmed that video, so now I can disassemble this gigantic mess of wires back here. There's so many wires. And oh, I did get that little faceplate for the I got a little 6 keystone jack metal faceplate, and that was for putting my video wall controller and HDMI player into a box. So maybe I will work on that today, because it's like super nice out today, and I could stand to get my saw out and chop up some things outside. That'll be fun. Okay, yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. Thanks everybody for joining. This was fun. Thanks again to the extreme channel supporters, Larry, David, and Marcin, and thanks to all of the other channel members as well for your support. Don't forget, if you're a channel member, to join the members Discord. There's a link in the YouTube members section to the invite link, and we will see you there. I will be posting things throughout the week as normal, as usual, as I play around with various gear that I'm testing, and things I'm trying out, and yeah, you know how it goes. You know how it goes. It's always fun. Oof. Wow, this was a long one. Thanks for the stream. Nice hanging out and talking production. Thanks Gwen for hanging out. Thanks Andre. Thanks Andrew. Emerald, like and subscribe. Thanks for the reminder. And thank you, Hans. Great to see everybody in the chat, and see you all again later. Same time next week. And yeah, we will be streaming again with something, and I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but we'll find out, because that's how it goes. All right, bye.